Ladies and gentlemen, if you would indulge me as required of the President of the North Carolina Farm Bureau, I'm expected to deliver an annual report to all of you at this convention. If you will indulge me at this time for a few minutes as we await the arrival of our governor. Ladies and gentlemen, on March the 2nd of 1936, the first meeting of the North Carolina Farm Bureau Federation was called to order by Chairman J.E. Winslow in Greenville, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been speaking on behalf of our members in the legislative arena and the general public every day since that meeting in 1936. North Carolina Farm Bureau, as you know, was born out of a need. Our farmers were struggling at the height of the Great Depression, and they were desperate for some economic relief. After traveling to Washington, D.C. and talking with their legislators, those early leaders realized that it was best for them to come back home and to organize themselves to form a united voice that both the legislators and the general public would listen to. Those early leaders considered at that time which farm organization to become a part of, and they chose the Farm Bureau. The same need that our farmers had in 1936 is still a real need today. Our farmers are facing depressed commodity prices, you know that, high input cost, crop devastation from torrential rains from Hurricane Matthew, and now, as the commissioner alluded to, from drought and wildfires in western North Carolina. Now more than ever, farmers face scrutiny from anti-agricultural groups, consumer advocates, and excessive regulatory compliance. All of us, we're all blessed to call North Carolina home. It's a place that offers many opportunities for families and for businesses to grow and to prosper. Our state is the 5th most populous state in the nation. The population of our state is only going to continue to grow into the foreseeable future. As our population changes, the social, political, and economic foundations of our state will also shift. You know that. At the time that the North Carolina Farm Bureau was first established, over 40% of the state's population still lived and worked on farms. In 2016, less than 2% of our state's population is actively engaged in production agriculture. It's no secret that the majority of your state legislative body that was recently elected came from 15 urban counties. Many of our legislators, many of our regulators who are making decisions on issues that are impacting your farms are several generations removed from the farm. I believe, as I hope you do, that a strong, creditable voice for our farmers and for our rural communities must be sustained. Throughout the last 80 years, Farm Bureau has been a champion for agriculture in the legislative arena. In 1952, Farm Bureau was instrumental in the establishment of the Nichols for Know-How referendum. This checkoff program contributed to agricultural research and education by paying a nickel per ton on feed and fertilizer purchases. You know the program has changed over the years, but the purpose remains the same. Just last month, the Nichols for Know-How referendum passed again by an overwhelming vote in this state. Ladies and gentlemen, research funding and budgets for our land-grant universities continues to be a priority for Farm Bureau today. In 1975, we advocated for farmland taxation being calculated on the basis of its agricultural value rather than its development potential. The present use value system today is still, and you know this, it's still the best tool that we have in our toolbox to protect farmland and open space in our great state. Listen to me. Last year, 2015, the present use value system deferred $217 million in property taxes for our farmers and landowners. Let me say that again. Last year, $217 million in property taxes for our farmers and landowners was deferred because of the present use value system. Farm Bureau continues to be the primary watchdog over this program. In 2001, we rallied for the first ever North Carolina Farm Bureau Day at the legislature. Many of you were there. In 2004, our members were able to savor the victory of the $10 billion tobacco quota buyout. It was an unprecedented legislative achievement. In 2013, Farm Bureau helped ensure that the federal estate tax, or the death tax, became permanent with a $5 million exemption. And at the state level that year, the estate tax was eliminated. You remember that. And in 2014, Farm Bureau again supported the passage of a federal farm bill. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been instrumental in the passage and have worked on the passage of every farm bill since the beginning of our existence. In 2016, our grassroots leadership and our professional staff have continued our tradition of protecting and ensuring that agriculture remains a key industry in North Carolina. We supported the passage of the $2 billion Connect NC Bond Act of 2016. Farm Bureau was a leading advocate across this state for this bond, which included, as commissioners said, $94 million for a new lab complex for the Department of Agriculture and $85 million for the Plant Sciences Initiative for NC State's Centennial Campus. At the federal level, Congress passed and the President signed into law the GMO labeling bill. This law prevents a patchwork of state laws governing how food companies must label their product that contains GMO. North Carolina State University heard your concerns about accessibility for our rural students into the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. They listened and they are responding. University and college administrators are working on a number of programs to ensure that our rural students, particularly those that are interested in agriculture, have a fair chance at being admitted into the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. And as I certainly have got to commend the dean and his management team on their work on that effort. At the federal level, in 2016, we were able to get some certainty back into our tax code with a Section 179 small business expensing. This provision allows for accelerated depreciation of an asset in the year that it was purchased. $500,000 is now permanent for expensing for capital purchases. This is a victory at the federal level, but ladies and gentlemen, there is still work that we need to do at the state level on this issue. We were founded to be a legislative representative for our farmers, to come to their aid in time of need, and we will continue to pursue that as our mission for the next 80 years. We will continue to speak, we will continue to educate the non-farming audiences on the importance of agriculture to North Carolina and our nation. It is obvious to me, as I've done some research on this, it is obvious that we owe a debt of gratitude to all of the Farm Bureau leaders who have paved and continue to pave the way for Farm Bureau to be the largest and the most trusted general agriculture organization in North Carolina. I'd like at this time to personally thank our board of directors for their vision, for their dedication, and for their hard work. Our past leaders, those that started this organization, would be proud that today's Farm Bureau is committed to the same goals and missions that we had 80 years ago. Legislative advocacy, as you know, is not our only policy mandate. Leadership development always has been and always will be a priority for our organization. We invest significant time and significant resources in our leadership development programs. Since 1942, our women's program has made its mark on our organization. Without a doubt, our Farm Bureau women actively educate, they actively engage, and they actively empower members of their communities, particularly our youth, for our youth to know where their food and fiber comes from. We recognize the importance that women play in being active in Farm Bureau and the role that they play in the future of agriculture in this state. Our Young Farmer and Rancher program. You know, ladies and gentlemen, our Young Farmer and Rancher program is how I got my start in Farm Bureau. Many of you in the audience today who are active at the county level as board members, members of advisory committees, or even members of our state board can say the same thing. You got your start with our Young Farmer program. From the mountains to the coast, this program is all about the business of raising up a new generation of engaged and energetic ag leaders. I view them every day. I work with them every day. And if our Farm Bureau young farmers today are any indication of the future of agriculture and the future of Farm Bureau, I feel very confident in saying, ladies and gentlemen, that we are in good hands. Over the years, we have created programs, our LEAD program, our Ag in the Classroom program, EIFEL, our Flex Shaw Scholarship. All of these programs enhance our mission of service to our members, and they provide opportunities for personal development. All of our programs, all those I named and more, have increased the visibility and the recognition of the Farm Bureau brand. At that first meeting in March of 1936, our membership number was reported at slightly over 2,000 people and represented 24 counties in eastern North Carolina. On July the 30th of that same year, 1936, North Carolina Farm Bureau held its first annual meeting in Raleigh at North Carolina State College, and by that time, in just 5 months, our membership had grown to almost 4,500 members from 30 counties. Farm Bureau members here at our 81st convention, I can tell you that we are the second largest membership state in the American Farm Bureau Federation. In January in Phoenix, Arizona, we will report 539,596 members, an increase of 14,000 members in 2 years. And we're on track to continue to increase membership in 2017. We are continually, at the staff level, at the board level, continually evaluating our member benefit programs. Our goal is for our member benefit programs to add significant value to a Farm Bureau membership. We like to say that a Farm Bureau membership doesn't cost, it pays. We enjoy strong relationships and partnerships with Choice Hotels, Farm Bureau Bank, Granger, Caterpillar, and Case IH. We continue in North Carolina to be in the top 3 states in the sale of General Motors vehicles. This morning, I thank you. We appreciate your participation in our member benefit programs, and we look forward to expanding into new partnerships in the future. There have been many changes in our communities and certainly in this organization over the last 80 years, but some things remain the same. Our core mission is legislative representation. We believe in the importance of leadership development. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, all across this state, you know this, Farm Bureau is synonymous with family. Our Farm Bureau family always comes together to support one another in good times and in bad times. We believe in this organization, and we invest in a genuine culture of caring all across all of the individuals who stand under the Farm Bureau brand. It is humbling to me, and I've heard it, to hear the reports of young farmers and county boards reaching across geographic distances in our state to help one another in desperate times throughout a year like this year. You have a professional staff who deeply cares about your best interests, and I can tell you they fight for the livelihoods of your families every day. It is a privilege for me to work with your staff on a daily basis, from our public policy specialists to our field staff to our administrative staff. There is not a more knowledgeable, there's not a more professional staff in the country. They represent you in a very dedicated way. I would ask you to please help me recognize them for their service. At this time, I would also like to thank my wife, Laura, for supporting me as I carry out the responsibilities of this position. This is an awesome responsibility. I take it seriously. I also thank her for the work that she does, the care that she does for our family, and for all of her support of Farm Bureau in this organization. Laura, I thank you. I hope that you agree with me that we in this organization, we're proud of the Farm Bureau brand, and we're proud of the footprint that we cast across this state. A viable agriculture industry is necessary for the economic well-being of our state's citizens and our communities. They are depending, our citizens and our communities are depending on us, and they're depending on the Farm Bureau brand to supply them with a safe and abundant source of food, fiber, and fuel products. I was recently reminded of the fragile nature of our food supply. Many of you remember a few weeks ago when the gasoline pipeline in Alabama was ruptured and our supply of gasoline was interrupted. Ladies and gentlemen, just overnight in Raleigh, and it probably was in your communities, just overnight there was panic. Gas lines formed, and there was fear of long-term shortages. I fear the results if the same interruption happened to our food supply in this country. During Hurricane Matthew, with all of the flooded roads, many grocery stores in eastern North Carolina were unable to get deliveries. On the screens, you can see the results of interrupted food distribution caused by impassable roads, bare grocery shelves. The general public takes our food supply for granted, but you and I know that providing food is not easy, and it is certainly no accident. Our pledge as a statewide organization a powerful and trusted organization, our pledge must be to continue to build upon the foundation laid by Farm Bureau leaders over the last 80 years. We will meet any challenge, and we will strive to deliver effective results in representing our farmers and our Farm Bureau members for generations to come. I thank you very much for indulging me with this time. Thank you very much.